Get ready to witness the horrifying moment a great white shark attacks a 19-year-old girl and bites her leg off. In this gripping video, Heather Boswell's life hangs in the balance as she battles the relentless predator. Will she survive this terrifying encounter? Let's find out. Heather Boswell was working on a ship called the Discoverer, where she had a 6-month job in the kitchen. The Discoverer was a research ship owned by the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. On March 23, 1994, the ship sailed about 30 nautical miles from Isla Salas y Gómez and 300 miles east of Easter Island. The crew was delighted because they had a day off. 9 crew members, including Heather Boswell and Phil Buffington, got excited and decided to swim in the clear water. They enjoyed swimming and snorkeling, feeling free and relaxed. 3 crew members kept an eye on them from a sturdy boat, while another crew member stayed on the Discoverer, watching out for any sea creatures. The 9 of them had an incredible time in the water for nearly 90 minutes. They were enjoying themselves, with some doing somersaults and playful maneuvers. Suddenly, someone yelled, "Shark!" Although Heather and most of the crew took it as a joke and continued swimming, they were in for a surprise. Unbeknownst to them, a deadly predator, a great white shark measuring 18 feet, had its sights on Phil Buffington. Ignoring the warning proved a grave mistake. Just beneath Phil, the massive shark stealthily lurked, sizing him up. Without warning, it struck, clamping its powerful jaws around his thigh, near his knee, attempting to drag him underwater. Startled and in agony, Phil summoned his courage and landed a forceful blow to the shark's head, causing it to release him and swim away. The rest of the group witnessed the incident and, realizing the danger, immediately swam towards safety to avoid becoming the next target of the vicious shark. Another warning of a shark was shouted. This time, no one took any chances with their lives. They quickly made their way to safety. However, it was too late for Heather Boswell, who had strayed too far from the ship and was about 25 feet away from the rest of the crew. The crew member watching from the ship spotted the great white shark approaching Boswell. They helplessly witnessed the shark disappearing underwater and quickly emerging with its massive jaws wide open, seizing Boswell by her right ankle. A crew member on the inflatable boat threw a broom handle towards Boswell for her to grab, but when they thought the danger was over, the great white attacked again. The shark sank its teeth with sharp edges into Boswell's left leg, around the middle of her thigh, and yanked her back into the water. Her blood colored the water red, creating a chilling sight. Suddenly, everything fell silent. The shark had vanished beneath the surface, and Boswell was nowhere to be seen. The ocean seems lifeless, motionless. Then, after what felt like an eternity, a loud splash shattered the stillness. Boswell refused to give up without a fight. Against all odds, she resurfaced. The terrified crew members on the boat seized her hands, desperately trying to pull her aboard. Unfortunately, the great white still had its sharp teeth deep in her flesh and refused to let go. A battle of strength ensued as the crew struggled to free Boswell from the jaws of death. Suddenly, Boswell heard a popping sound and hoped it was just her leg being dislocated. With the crew's help, she was pulled onto the boat's safety, feeling relieved. Meanwhile, a warning about a shark attack had already been announced over the PA system on the Discoverer ship. A crew member cleaning his pistol after target practice heard the warning and hurried to see what was happening. He spotted the shark swimming towards someone climbing the ship's ladder and acted swiftly. Without hesitation, he fired multiple shots at the massive great white. The shark changed its course, swimming towards the back of the ship. The crew member followed and fired 2 more shots, causing the shark to become motionless. He had successfully killed the monstrous predator. Meanwhile, Heather Boswell lay on the boat, still unaware of her condition, trying to catch her breath. Suddenly, a sharp sting in her left leg made her look down, and she realized in horror that her left leg was missing. The popping sound she had heard earlier was when the shark had torn her leg away from her. As Boswell's mind processed the situation, she felt a surge of pain. The crew lifted her from the inflatable boat onto the ship. Phil Buffington was quickly taken below deck due to the throbbing pain in his feet. While his injuries were not as severe as Boswell's, his left thigh had several cuts, and his right knee and thigh had deep puncture wounds. Medics in the ship's sickbay stitched him up with 50 stitches. Meanwhile, Boswell's left leg had been severed above the knee, and her right leg had large cuts and puncture wounds. She had lost a significant amount of blood and was in shock. When they laid her on a bed, she was cold and unresponsive, without a heartbeat. The medics immediately gave her IV fluids, and her pulse was detected shortly after. By evening, she was stable and received care throughout the night. The following day, a medical team from the land arrived at the ship and decided to use the rigid inflatable boat to transfer Boswell. They placed her on the boat, then lowered from the ship into the water. Boswell was then taken to a nearby clinic and later transported to Panama, where she underwent surgery at an army hospital. The crew members who swiftly saved Boswell's life were honored with awards and medals for their bravery. Boswell eventually recovered from her puncture wounds, but needed to wear a prosthetic leg for the rest of her life. Thank you for joining us on this gripping journey of survival. Heather Boswell's incredible story reminds us of the strength of the human spirit. Don't forget to subscribe for more awe-inspiring stories of resilience and adventure.